This is the untold story of SB19, a journey so unbelievable most people think it's fiction. But every struggle, every tear, and every moment of doubt was real. Before the fame, before the awards, and before millions of fans, SB19 were just 5 young dreamers fighting against an industry that told them they would never make it. Today, we uncover the hardships, sacrifices, and impossible odds they shattered to rise to the top. Like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. Before SB19 became the biggest Filipino boy group to break global charts, they lived a life far away from fame and recognition. Each member, Pablo, Stel, Ken, Josh, and Justin, was navigating their own struggles, dreams, and personal battles. Pablo worked multiple jobs just to support his family while fighting silently with the pressure of being the group's leader. Josh had lived through poverty, homelessness, and overwhelming uncertainty, carrying emotional scars that shaped his determination. Ken came from a simple life in Mindanao, far from the bright lights of Manila, bringing with him a quiet resilience and raw talent. Stel, with his golden voice, spent years teaching dance to earn money, hiding the exhaustion behind his smile. Justin, the youngest, juggled school and training, unsure if the path he chose would ever reward him. For all 5 of them, music wasn't just a dream, it was survival. But in the early years, no one believed in their potential. They weren't born into fame, they weren't handed opportunities. They had to build everything from nothing. What held them together was a shared belief that P-pop had a place on the global stage and that they were willing to sacrifice everything to prove it. Their journey was not glamorous. It was filled with hunger, doubt, and countless near quits. Yet they kept going. When SB19 began their training under Show BT, they were thrown into one of the toughest routines in the Philippine entertainment industry. The training system was inspired by K-pop standards, harsh, demanding, and relentless. They trained for long hours, sometimes more than 12 a day, combining dance, vocals, personality development, and physical conditioning. The pressure was suffocating. Some days, they cried. Some days, they questioned everything. They lived far from their families, earning little to no income. While their friends built careers or finished school, SB19 stayed inside practice rooms, repeating choreographies until their bodies felt numb. Many people mocked them for copying K-pop. Others doubted that a Filipino boy group would ever succeed. The criticism was brutal, especially online, where early videos were ridiculed. Their families also worried. Some questioned why their sons were sacrificing stability for a dream that seemed impossible. But the boys had no choice. If they quit, all their years of sacrifice would mean nothing. The hardest part wasn't the physical pain. It was the emotional battle. They didn't know if they would ever debut. They didn't know if anyone would care. At times, the practice rooms felt like cages filled with doubt. But even in the silence of exhaustion, they held on to each other. The bond they formed during this dark, uncertain period would later become one of their greatest strengths. During their early days, SB19 faced an identity crisis. They were constantly compared to K-pop groups, criticized for being too similar, and pressured to fit an image that didn't feel natural. They wanted to represent Filipino culture, but the path was unclear. Their management had expectations, the public had opinions, and the members themselves were struggling internally about who they were supposed to be as artists. Pablo, as the leader, carried the heaviest burden. He needed to guide the group artistically, but also emotionally. He spent sleepless nights writing lyrics, producing melodies, and figuring out how to fuse Filipino identity with modern pop. Meanwhile, the members wrestled with insecurity. Was the world ready for P-pop? Were they unique enough? Were they good enough? Those early stages were filled with internal tension. Not fights, but silent fears. Fears that they might disappoint their families, their fans, or themselves. They wanted to create music that spoke to their hearts, but they also needed to impress an unpredictable music industry. Despite that confusion, they pushed forward. They embraced Filipino language, Filipino values, and Filipino stories. And slowly, their identity began to form, not as a K-pop imitation, but as a new P-pop wave. The struggle for authenticity became the backbone of their future success. When SB19 finally debuted in 2018, the reaction was underwhelming. They released Tila Luha, a heartfelt ballad showcasing strong vocals and emotional storytelling, but the world hardly noticed. The views were low, the attention was minimal, and the group felt invisible. After years of suffering, training, and sacrifice, their big debut moment felt like a whisper. Financially, it was devastating. The company struggled. The members struggled even more. They had no fan base, no media coverage, no major promotions. They performed in small venues, malls, and events where only a handful of people watched. Sometimes there were more staff than audience members. But the hardest blow came from self-doubt. They questioned if their journey was meant to end before it even began. Some of the members thought about giving up. Others silently cried at night. Pablo felt responsible for the group's direction, and the failure hit him deeply. Everything they worked for seemed to crumble. Yet, they didn't stop. They practiced harder, they rebuilt themselves, and they prepared for one last push, a comeback that would either save their careers or end them permanently. Little did they know, one moment was about to change everything, and the entire world would soon witness a miracle no one expected. The turning point came with the release of Go Up. It was the song that summarized their entire journey: pain, struggle, hope, and determination. But even then, the music video didn't explode immediately. Weeks passed with little traction. The group felt the pressure, but they kept performing, kept promoting, and kept believing in their message. Then one day, a single dance practice video went viral. People who never cared about P-pop suddenly noticed their synchronization, their passion, and their unmistakable talent. Tweets spread rapidly. Facebook pages shared clips. YouTubers reacted. And suddenly, SB19 was everywhere. The song title, Go Up, became prophetic, symbolizing their rise from the bottom. The viral moment was not luck. It was the result of years of discipline. Every sweat, every tear, every painful rehearsal led to this moment. Filipino audiences began to rally behind them, proud to see a local group showcasing world-class skill. International fans soon followed. For the first time, SB19 felt seen. The world finally understood who they were. Not imitators, but innovators. They had done what many thought impossible. They put P-pop on the global map. When SB19 began gaining recognition after the success of Go Up, something extraordinary happened. A tin was born. But A-tin was never just a typical fandom. They became the lifeline, the armor, and the unstoppable engine behind SB19's historic rise. What made this fan base different was their sincerity. They didn't support SB19 because they were already famous. They supported them because they saw the hard work, the passion, and the genuine humility behind every performance. A-tin recognized talent long before the mainstream did. SB19's rise wasn't just a success story. It was a series of history-making moments that changed Philippine music forever. After years of being ignored, overlooked, and doubted, they suddenly found themselves breaking records one after another. They became the first Filipino act ever nominated for the Billboard Music Awards, competing alongside global giants. This wasn't just a win for the group. It was a moment that placed Filipino talent on the world stage for the first time in mainstream history. One of SB19's greatest strengths lies in their ability to evolve. As the years passed, they refused to stay comfortable. Instead, they challenged themselves to grow, not just as performers, but as true musicians, storytellers, and visionaries. Pablo emerged as a respected producer, crafting songs that carried his unique blend of emotion, Filipino identity, and modern sound. His creativity set the foundation for SB19's signature style: powerful, meaningful, and unapologetically original. Meanwhile, Ken explored his individuality through his solo music, experimenting with deeper themes and genre-breaking styles that showcased his artistic depth. Stell continued developing his extraordinary vocal range while taking on choreography and musical direction. Josh sharpened his rap skills, adding intensity and swagger to the group's compositions. Justin, the youngest, became the mastermind behind many visual concepts, music video ideas, and creative branding. Together, these personal evolutions strengthened SB19 as a whole. They began writing their own lyrics, producing tracks, and conceptualizing performances, proving they were more than idols. They were creators. Every comeback reflected growth, maturity, and a deeper connection to their roots. Their future holds limitless possibilities: world tours, more groundbreaking albums, international collaborations, and perhaps milestones the world has not yet imagined. But beyond the awards and performances, their true legacy lives in the hearts they've moved. They taught millions that success is not reserved for the privileged. It is earned through sacrifice, unity, and passion. SB19 also opened doors for Filipino music to be heard globally. They proved that language is not a barrier and that talent rooted in authenticity can resonate anywhere. As they continue evolving, they carry with them the hopes of an entire nation. The untold story of SB19 is more than a rise to fame. It is a message to every dreamer who feels unseen. They showed that even when no one believes in you, you must believe in yourself. And that is the legacy that will outlive their generation.